So today we're gonna make some ginger kraut. This is one of my favorite condiments because it goes great on everything like eggs, breakfast burritos. What it is red cabbage, right? We always have big heads of red cabbage, ginger, and then salt. 3 simple ingredients. So what I usually do first is I took a step ahead. I had a piece of ginger that was about maybe this big, and I've minced it, and I'm gonna put that in the bowl. Okay. And then I weighed this cabbage. This cabbage weighs 3 pounds. So it's about 1.5 teaspoons of salt per pound for cabbage to make the fermentation work. So what I do first is I pull off one of these outer leaves. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ferment it in this 1/2 gallon jar. So what I do is I figure out a piece that's gonna fit over the top of the jar. Because what I'm gonna do, once the cabbage is in there, you wanna make sure it stays below the water level. So you cut a little piece like this that goes on top. And then you just give that for the chickens. Save that for later. So now what I'm gonna do, I cut my cabbage, shred cabbage. Love shredding cabbage. So I cut it into quarters. And then real quick, I'll take out that part. And so what has to happen is the cabbage has to sit with the salt for 15 minutes just to start drawing out the moisture. And then we massage it for 5 minutes after that. So we're gonna shred it like coleslaw style. You could also use your food processor to do this, but I'm good with the knife, so I'll do it this way. Nice and thin shreds, all in the bowl with the ginger. So this gets like a nice ginger and fermented flavor that really just like adds to any dish. It's like that condiment you want, like, oh, it's amazing. Okay, so we'll do this. You can turn it on its side. And it doesn't have to be super thin because it's gonna ferment and it's gonna get a little softer. So however, I mean, like if you want it, if you don't feel comfortable making it super thin, you just do your best. Okay, so then, since I already know how much my cabbage weighs, I'm gonna put 1.5 teaspoons per pound. So I need 4.5 teaspoons, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't have to be exact, we're not baking. Half. And so what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna take a spoon. I'm gonna stir the salt and the ginger and all this together, and I'm gonna let this sit for 15 minutes. And then we'll come back and we'll do the next part next. Okay guys, so I forgot a few things in the first part of the video about what you need to do this whole process. So first I get these 1/2 gallon mason jars, and then I get I bought this on Amazon. It's like a sealing lid. You could actually use any kind of lid for a mason jar to do it, but basically what you need is a lid to keep the oxygen out, and you need a weight or something to hold the product in this case the cabbage, below the liquid line. So what's gonna happen is when we massage this cabbage, a bunch of water is gonna come out. And so what continues that fermentation is we put that cabbage below the water line, the salt preserves it, a little bit of bacteria gets in there and it starts to break it down. So you need a weight. It could be anything. If you don't wanna use a mason jar, you can use a plate inside of a bowl, whatever you wanna do. But this method has worked pretty good for me. So let's talk about this. So now the next step in this process is to massage it. So I have a timer here because I thought that, I'm gonna start the timer and start massaging it and talk at the same time. But I thought that, 5 minutes of massaging cabbage, that's gonna be fine. Like I'm a strong guy, like it's fine, this doesn't hurt. But if you don't set the timer, you're gonna quit because this is called the kraut workout. So what you do is you massage this kraut, and the salt's drawing out moisture, but your hands are drawing out moisture too. And this is what aids in the fermentation process. So like, we're only 30 seconds in, and my arms are already tired. So what you could also do, if you have a bunch of little hands around your house, you can get your kids to help you out. But basically, I've noticed that 5 minutes is the right amount of time to get enough liquid out to be able to submerge all the kraut in liquid when you get it in the bowl. So the next step after this is going to be putting it into that jar and submerging it in liquid. So guys, we're at the tail end of 5 minutes here. I'm getting a little tired, but I've massaged this and you can see it looks way different, right? There's liquid coming out, and there's my timer. And so now the next step, that we've got all this liquid out, we're gonna start to put this kraut in the jar. And so, what I like to do is I get my kraut jar. This is a little bit of a messy process, but basically you start to put it in, like this, and you're gonna do a little on the sides. So we load our whole jar with kraut, and as I go, what I like to do is I push my hand in like this. So that's why these half-gallon jars are good. You can fit your whole fist in there, and you push it, and compress it down. And as you can see in my bowl right now, see that liquid? We've drawn out all that liquid. That's what's gonna help us keep fermenting this. So, keep loading this up. And the cool thing about this, and what I'm thinking about, is that you know, you could buy sauerkraut at the store, organic sauerkraut. Think about it, like maybe $7 a jar. And I spent $4 on this red cabbage because I didn't grow it, but if I did grow it, even less. And maybe 50 cents on ginger. And then it's just salt. It's just sea salt. So what I keep doing here is I keep loading all this in here. It's a little messy. I could probably be a little less messy. But I'm getting this all in the jar. And then I push it down again. And you can see as I push it down that the liquid's coming up. And that's a good sign because you just basically want to have the liquid cover the cabbage because that aids in the fermentation process. At the end, there's gonna be liquid left in your bowl. You dump that in there. Okay, you clean this up. Put your hand in here one more time. Push it down. Push it down, and now, as you can see, as I push it down, the liquid is above the cabbage level. That's what you want. You don't want any cabbage above it because that's not gonna ferment. You want all the cabbage in the liquid. So then the next step I do, once I have all my cabbage below the liquid, I take my little leaf that we cut earlier, put it on top, and then on top of that, make sure everything's underneath it. Sorry, there we go. And then we put our weight in there. Now the weight, you can push down on that, and now the weight is keeping the liquid below that level. Then, take your lid, clean up this area, put the lid on. And the cool thing about this lid is it's got dates on the top. So if you look at that, you can move it to day 1. So if you have time, I always forget this, but you can move it one time each day. I like to check it at 7 days to see how sour it is. Generally, this fermentation takes about 14 days to get to the level that I like it, but it's all a personal preference. So if you want to check it at 7 and it's sour enough, you're good. But 14 days is perfect. Then once it hits 14 days, snap this lid off, take the weight out, put your other leak-proof lid on, put it in your fridge, you got kraut for days. Easy money. And that is my ginger kraut.
And go.
Hey guys, so I forgot to mention that once you get this jar, I'm still cleaning up, obviously, big mess. Once you get this jar set, you want to put it in your pantry or somewhere where it's cool, where it's not going to hit sunlight, sort of a cool, dark place, maybe 65 degrees-ish. That's where it's going to ferment the best. If it's too hot, it's not going to ferment the right way. So I like to put it in my pantry. I got all my jams and stuff here. I put it right here, out of the way. And then each day I can just come in here and, change the day to day too. If I remember. I don't always remember. I got 4 kids. I don't remember this kind of stuff. Hey everyone, here we are with our day supposed to be 7 check-in, but it's actually day 10 on the Kraut. I missed it by a couple of days, but usually I like to test it about week 1 to see if how sour we're at. You know, some people like it a little more sour. You could be done after a week. I like mine to go about 14 days, but here's the proper way to check it. I take the weight out. I take out our leaf. And as you can see, the color on this cabbage has really changed. It's really awesome. It's like almost like a pink color now. And it looks really cool when you put it on top of plates and eggs and stuff like that. So what I like to do, I take a clean fork, put it in there, take a little scoop out to give it a taste. You really want to work clean when you're dealing with kraut because it's bacteria and you don't want to introduce any new bacteria. Try. 10 days. Still really crisp, good ginger, but I think I like it a little more sour, so I'm gonna let it go just a little bit longer. Okay, so now it's been 14 days and it's time to do our final tasting. And I've got 2 of my special tasters here to help me to make sure that this kraut is to par on the normal recipe. So we've got, on my left is Mabel 6. On my right is Maddie. Maddie's 10. We'll go youngest first. Give it a little taste.
Oopsie daisy.
Okay, let's pass it to Sis. What do you think? Okay, Maddie, get a try. So Mabel, what do you like to put your kraut on? 1 second, you're still eating. I love to put mine on eggs.
Omelets.
Omelets? What about you, Maddie? What do you put your kraut on?
I eat it by itself.
Eat it by itself? Cool. So, the other cool thing that I got that I put on a lid, this is a leak-proof lid. Since there's liquid in here, it's really nice to put this in the fridge. Now it's ready to go in the fridge. And usually at this time, I have to start another batch because we'll move through this pretty quick. So, hope you like the recipe. Talk to you later.